But this is always what I tell drivers. If you feel uncomfortable requesting your customer to give you a 5-star rating, if you feel that your heart is so heavy that you can't ask your rider or your customer to give you a 5-star rating, it's because you know your customer service was below bar. Maybe you picked the client with an attitude, the client enters, you didn't even greet them, you gave them the wrong price at the end of the trip, and then I am here advising you to ask them politely to give you for a 5-star rating. You know literally you don't deserve it. And customers nowadays, they don't give 5-star just like that. At when they open their phone and they are prompted to rate, that they will always click the 5-star. No, sometimes they take their time to think, were you deserving a 5-star? Okay, hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I am going to discuss with you 5 key advice that I give to every taxi driver that I have ever mentored while entering into this business. We know that this is a business that sometimes is full of misconception, misunderstanding, misrepresentations, and the stories sometimes we hear about the industry sometimes do not reflect exactly how the industry works. For me, I always give advice to drivers so that it can work for them. I don't want to give advice to people so that they can detest the industry, so that they can withdraw and go to other things. I give advice to drivers so that when they start driving, they can actually enjoy the business and get something out of it. So welcome to this video. We are going to discuss 5 things that have worked for the drivers that I have mentored while entering into the taxi driving industry. So we are going to start with advice number 1. This is always to complete every trip. Okay? Sometimes taxi drivers want to have, their cake and eat it, and that is impossible. They are always advised to either stay offline or go online and complete every trip that they get. A lot of taxi drivers who complain only focus on doing comfortable trips to destinations that they are familiar, trips to destinations that are paying better prices. They only want to carry trips with a surge price, but with normal prices they don't want to carry. So at the end of the day, you'll find that such drivers who are very choosy, they end up doing very less number of trips. But a driver who is open, who is ready to take any request that comes through his phone, then he has a possibility of making more money than other drivers. Okay, so that is the first thing. Complete every trip. Even if you get a trip to a destination that you don't like, let me tell you, it might be the one that will open the good luck for you for that day. And I have had those experiences where I reject a trip to a certain destination, then I don't get another trip for the next 3 hours. And I stay to regret throughout the 3 hours, why did I actually ignore that trip? Even if I didn't like the destination, I didn't like the amount, but probably it could have led me to a place where I could have gotten another trip quicker. Okay? That is the first thing. Complete every trip. The second thing, master the hotspots. Master the hotspots. Okay? So hotspots are areas that have a kind of guaranteed, demand for trips. And this could be, the airport. Okay? But a hotspot does not mean that it is a hotspot throughout. It is a hotspot at certain points, and at other points it is not a hotspot. So sometimes in the airport, and people who carry in airports, they know. If you find yourself, for example, in the airport in the mornings of Sunday, let's say you are in the airport around 6 to 8 a.m., I'm telling you, you might stay there for 2-3 hours because there are not many flights that arrive at the airport at that point. But let's talk about maybe between 4 to 7 p.m. in the evening. There are so many flights that get into the airport at that point. So anytime you go into the airport is back to back. You drop, you carry. Okay. Other hotspots include malls. Normally malls throughout the day, from afternoon hours until 10 p.m. is a hotspot. We are talking of the central business district. We are talking about the offices. Okay, if you are within Westlands around 5 p.m. Near any office building, it's a hotspot. We are talking of nightlife areas, during weekends. Over time, you will come to understand which place is a hotspot. We are talking about schools. When children are leaving school, there are so many children who are carried home by taxis. We are talking about churches, okay, on Sundays. Early in the morning, there are people who go for morning devotion. I'm telling you, those are real stuff. And drivers who have experience over time, they will have that mastery of places that they should position themselves. And why is it that it is important for you to understand the hotspot? It doesn't mean that you wake up from your house and go to a hotspot directly. No. What happens is that if, for example, I have carried a customer from point A to point B, after dropping that customer at point B, I don't move straight to another place and start looking for customers. It is always advised that after dropping a customer, if there is a parking space, stick there for around 5 to 15 minutes and see if you get a customer. If you don't get a customer, then start driving towards a hotspot. But you don't go straight to the hotspot, because a hotspot could even be 5-10 kilometers away from where you are. The reality is that if you drop a customer, you don't get a request at that point, drive maybe 2 kilometers towards the hotspot and then park there for around 5-10 minutes. If you don't get a customer from there, drive another 2 kilometers and then wait for another 5-10 minutes, always towards a hotspot. So it is so critical that you understand hotspots around the city. And within 1-2 years of driving, you will definitely have a mastery of all those areas, and you have them literally at the back of your mind. All right. So point number 3, we are talking that you need now to master what we call the traffic patterns. Okay, we are talking about the traffic patterns, and this is very important because some drivers will say that around certain hours I cannot drive because there is so much traffic along this road, there is so much traffic along that road. But the importance of mastering the traffic patterns, it is not so that you can avoid the roads at those times. It is so that you can prepare yourself psychologically, maybe to spend some little more time on traffic than usual. Because imagine this, matatus, the buses and the minibuses, these 14-seaters that carry along certain routes, they never deviate, they never change the route. For example, matatus that carry from Githurai to Nairobi CBD, that is their route. It is fixed. Whether there is traffic or not, they will always carry that route. And the same thing with drivers. Understanding the traffic patterns will help you know how to behave while you are in that traffic. But you should never avoid roads because there is traffic, because you might, avoid going on the roads and literally the traffic you are fearing was not as much as you thought it would be. So the idea of drivers saying that they cannot go to certain destinations because there is traffic, just think about the matatus. Why is it that the matatus are always on the road, whether there is traffic or not, and they still make their business? So the idea here is that drivers who stay away from the roads when there is traffic, they make less money, because it's better you stick on traffic and make less money than staying at home and make no money. Okay, so understand the traffic patterns so that you can prepare yourself, so that you don't get a shock when you find that there is more traffic than expected. So the point number 4, or the advice number 4 that I always give drivers is to be honest. Okay, it is very, very important that you have the idea of being honest in your mind, because nowadays the rider is very, very informed. Some years back, when you carry someone, they were depending on the driver to tell the amount that they are supposed to pay. But nowadays, when a driver terminates a trip, the rider gets a notification on their mobile, because almost everyone nowadays, they have mobile data. They get a notification and they are able to see the exact amount that they are supposed to pay. But at the same time, some riders will still insist to ask the driver what is the amount, just with the intention of just seeing whether the driver will give them the exact amount that is showing on the app. And let me tell you, more than 50% of the drivers will always tend to add something on top of what should actually be paid. And this does not do good to the riders. I have done this so many times. I decide just to ask the driver, how much should I pay? And most of them will give you the full amount together with the discount. Instead of giving you the amount you need to pay minus the discount, they tell you to pay the full amount. I don't always, talk about it, but I note it in my heart that that driver was not honest. Normally, I can pay what they tell me, but if the discount was so much significant, let's say 250 shillings, 200, I always tell them that that is not the amount showing on my side. But if the difference is, let's say, 20, 30 shillings, I just pay them, but I record it in my heart that that driver was not honest. That is not something that does good to driver, because at the end of the day, that rider will go and give you a very poor rating, and it will affect how Uber and Bolt will prioritize you in offering you trips. Honesty is very, very important. Be purposeful, intend to be honest. Okay, don't feel pain being honest. I know sometimes when you complete a trip, you might see an amount that is too small. You have carried someone for a whole 30 minutes, and when you finish the trip, the amount the rider should pay you is like 250 shillings, and you feel like this is an insult. I should add some amount onto this. It doesn't help, because the rider will know it, and it will not help you. Let me tell you, even the rider will not tip you. But if you tell them the exact amount, the reality is that they might also feel that you deserve to be tipped and given something a bit on top. So let's finish this by point number 5, which is request for the 5-star rating. This is what I always tell drivers. Once you complete the trip, request your customer to give you a 5-star rating, because on the side of the rider, when they are opening their app again, they will be prompted to rate you. If they give you a rating that is below 5, then your relationship with the app will also be affected. You will lose some trips, you will lose some privileges. But this is always what I tell drivers. If you feel uncomfortable requesting your customer to give you a 5-star rating, it is because you probably don't deserve it. If you feel that your heart is so heavy that you can't ask your rider or your customer to give you a 5-star rating, it's because you know your customer service was below bar. You also know that you don't deserve it. But if you are very comfortable, you are at ease requesting your rider to give you a 5-star rating, it's because you are experienced, you feel like you have done your best, your attitude was the best, then you are delivering the right customer service. But a lot of drivers will not even have the how can I say, the energy to open their mouth and ask for a 5-star rating, because they know that they have not done quality service to that client. Maybe you picked the client with an attitude, the client enters, you didn't even greet them, you gave them the wrong price at the end of the trip, and then I am here advising you to ask them politely to give you for a 5-star rating. You know literally you don't deserve it. But if you can target at every trip, you say that I am going to ask my next 10 customers to give me a 5-star rating, then let me tell you, you will have to reconfigure everything about how you interact with clients. And that will be very, very helpful to you. That is my attitude always. There is no client that I drop and I don't ask for a 5-star rating, especially when I was very, very active. Even, when your ratings is going down, let's say it's called the driver score or your star rating. If you just get 5 customers to give you straight 5-star for 5 consecutive trips, let me tell you, your activity score will go very high, and you'll notice that moving forward, you will even get more trips. But if anything, 5 consecutive customers, they give you a 4-star rating, I'm telling you, you will be in trouble. Before you are able to raise that star from 4 to maybe 4.9, you will have to complete about 10 trips and have 5-star with all of them. And the customers nowadays, they don't give 5-star just like that. At when they open their phone and they are prompted to rate, that they will always click the 5-star. No, sometimes they take their time to think, were you deserving a 5-star? And then remember, some riders also don't know how to rate. They think that, the stars, because the stars are they are like these, they are 5. Some people don't know that this is the 5th star, this is the 1-star. So when you tell them to give you the 5-star, they might think, I'm giving you the number 1 star. That is the best star. No, if they click number 1, let me tell you, you'll be in trouble. Your score rating will go down. So always, also over time, educate your riders on how to press on the right star so that you don't get rated low by a rider who had the intention of giving you the 5-star. So tell them to click on the farthest star to their right, and that is the highest score for you. So if you do all these things, at the end of the day, you will come to love your job. I hope I have taught you a thing or two, and see you in my next video.